Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life, and I still wanted to get this "What's in store for AT&T in 2022" video out. This is the last in the series. I've already done the T-Mobile and the Verizon one. I am a bit under the weather, so bear with me. I'll try to get this over with as quickly as possible, and give you guys my opinion and pointers in terms of what does AT&T look like in 2022. So I think AT&T is the sleeper, is what I've seen many of you call them. People are sleeping on AT&T. The fact that they have committed to becoming a pure connectivity company recently by selling the Xander unit. So now all media is gone. We all know the Warner Media is gone the second half of next year. So they are once again going to be a pure connectivity company. So that's wireless and fiber. That's it. I do see for the foreseeable future, I do see them continuing to sell media under the brand that they spun it off into. So if you walk into an AT&T store, I believe you're still going to, the reps are still going to be able to sell you DirecTV Stream, and maybe even HBO Max. Who knows? But I think the issue with that, AT&T has to change the brand perception. When you ask a lot of people about AT&T, they tell you there's a lot of old people in suits, and that's 9 times out of 10 what I get told when I ask people about AT&T. And AT&T has to change that brand perception in the market. I know they're working on it, but they have to go big in 2022. The network perception has always been there in favor for AT&T. So that's not the big issue. It's really the brand perception. How did they position the brand to the market going forward? So I think that's going to be a very important topic in 2022 that we'll discuss on the channel, and we'll see some of those changes coming in terms of how they approach the market and the brand perception. They have a new marketing chief, so she's good, I'm hearing. So there'll be some changes, and Stanky has been preaching this at a lot of conferences recently that he wants to, by brand perception, position the company for 5+ years down the road. So I think that's a very interesting topic for AT&T in 2022. Second, it's going to be AT&T stock. It's and this is what this article is about, which I will leave in the description down below. Now, just a quick disclaimer: I'm no financial advisor, so don't take any of this and go and buy AT&T stock. But AT&T's stock is very interesting to look at because analysts and shareholders are still not sold on that stock. That's why you keep seeing it fluctuate. It keeps going up and then it goes down to 22. If it goes below 20, I don't know what else to say. If it goes below 20, then there's a problem. And, I think people are going to start waking up in terms of trying to figure out why AT&T is dropping that low. But I think what I've been researching is it's not because of the current growth. That growth is great. They were the leading growing company on postpaid the last several quarters in the industry, even outgrowing T-Mobile, which was a shock. What the analysts and shareholders are skeptical of is, can AT&T further produce this growth once T-Mobile has that Sprint churn under control? Once that Sprint base is fully migrated to the Magenta base, and once they have that churn where the Magenta churn is, can AT&T still pull that type of growth? Right now, the Sprint base, they're donating a lot of subscribers to the market. It's Sprint, and then Dish with Boost Mobile, and then there's a couple of others. But once T-Mobile has that under control, I think the analysts and the shareholders are questioning, can AT&T still be the leading company in terms of growth in the wireless industry. That's what they're skeptical of. So, and that remains to be seen. We still have this year where T-Mobile is going to be dealing with the migrations. Some still on the network side. There's still some, about 20. It's probably less now, but about 20% that need to be migrated to the TNX SIM. I think the last number was like 85% that we saw, or 80, if I remember correctly. So they still got to work through that. And then they got to start migrating physical accounts, whether it be on the back end with the billing system or just migrating that entire Sprint account to Magenta, to the Magenta base. So they got to work through that. In 23, they'll have access to forced migrations. They only have to uphold the Sprint plan and pricing for the first 3 years of the merger per the FCC agreement that ends in 2023 April. So at that point, forced migrations, are technically up on us. Now, at that point, T-Mobile has to have a system in place to not have the Sprint base churn at a high rate, because if you force people out of their plans and out of their devices, it could trigger an effect you may not like. Because even at that point in 2023, I truly believe that Sprint will still have outstanding finances that need to be taken care of. Well, Sprint customers. Now I'm hearing that T-Mobile is looking at transferring financing. I think that could work and that could accelerate. But that's what shareholders and analysts are skeptical of AT&T, if they can continue this growth once the Sprint base is under control and that churn lowers. That's what they're looking at. And I truly believe that AT&T will continue growing in 2022. Q4 2021, likely AT&T will be the leader. Q1, Q2 likely goes to AT&T as well. I think it's really the marketing that message is resonating with the market. Nobody is pushing it like AT&T. They really haven't talked about anything else. It's really just new and existing customers get the same deal. That's what all their commercials are about right now. If you've seen the recent commercial with the lollipops, there was a kid that got a big lollipop and another kid that got a little one, and they said that's not fair. And that's when Lily stepped in and said all customers get the same deal because of this. I think that message is powerful to the market, and I think it's powerful. Especially since the Sprint base is churning at such a rate that AT&T is capitalizing. New and existing. We give you phone deals. Our plan pricing is not as high as Verizon's. It's not necessarily as low as Sprint's was, but you're not paying as much as Verizon, and you're still getting a large nationwide network. So that's what the Sprint base is looking at, and I think that's where AT&T is reeling them in. New and existing customers, they preach that now in all commercials. I've seen a couple of commercials of 5G, secure, fast, reliable, but it's all really about new existing customers. That's what most of these marketing commercials have been about going into the holidays. And then I think another big topic is going to be the C-band and densification. That's going to be a big one for AT&T. We've gotten reports that there are a lot of markets where AT&T is not even dense enough for AWS and PCS. El Paso is an example, and then I saw a couple of other markets as well. So if they're not even dense enough for PCS and AWS, they're not dense enough for C-band. So they're going to have to put densification on a very high pedestal. They're going to have to prioritize that. FirstNet is taking care of coverage. AT&T is going to have to take care of densification. They're going to have to spend big on that. I say the first few years of that CapEx, that new CapEx that they now can dedicate towards wireless and fiber, I think they need to do like an 85-15 split. I think a lot of that needs to go to wireless. They need to do a lot of macro densification. The C-RAN are helping, but a lot of their issues and gaps on densification come from the tower. They need a denser grid. I mean, site spacing here in the city in some places is 4 miles. 4 or 5 miles before you see another AT&T site. I mean, that's not dense enough for AWS, PCS, let alone WCS Band 30 that they have. So C-band is going to bring a boost of bandwidth, but forget it. It's going to, if they keep the grid the way it is, it's going to be like Sprint's 2.5 when they add C-band to those towers. It's going to be a roller coaster. You're going to be on C-band here, and then boom, you're not going to be on C-band. And then you're going to be on C-band again and not going to be on C-band. That's how it's going to be. And that's how Sprint was, because Sprint didn't have the amount of cell sites needed to make 2.5 a continuous experience. You had it when you were close to the site, and you got outside of that range, you dropped it until who knows when you get to the next site. And that's how AT&T will be with C-band here if they don't densify. And I'm hearing it's other markets as well, that they have to tighten that grid within a mile or two. I think 2 is max. 2 mile site spacing is max. 1 mile site spacing is ideal. 2 mile site spacing is good enough if you include the C-RAN throughout the neighborhoods. But you want to be at least as dense as 1 mile. That's what Verizon is getting to here. They have a site almost every mile in a lot of parts now. And they're working to adding more sites, new sites and co-locations to get it to that 1 mile. So let me know what you guys think is in store for AT&T. I think the stock is going to play a big part in 2022. I think a lot of analysts and shareholders are still skeptical about it because, as I mentioned about the growth, can they continue that going through 22 and 23? And I think brand perception, once again, is a big deal for the company. And then densification. I think densification is right up there because C-band needs densification. It needs it. There was recently an interview with the CEO from Vertical Bridge, and he said most of the capital investment for the next few years from the carriers should go towards densifying the macro grid. He absolutely, truly believes that. Of course, you know, he's an owner of an independent tower company, so he wants them. It's more lucrative for them to spend money on the towers, but that's what he foresees. And then the small cell fill-in will come, you know, a couple of years down the line. So they're building small cells now, of course, but to get it to where AT&T and Verizon want to be with how many they deploy, it's going to take a couple of years. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. Look forward to reading your comments. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you are notified when I do upload content. Make sure to follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. Hope you guys have a great holidays. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.